Good morning on this Saturday. Thank you so much for joining in. Thank you for your time. You are in for a beautiful treat today. My name is Rituraj Juneja. Many of you know me one to one, personally or professionally. And the ones who do not know me, I am a corporate guy who has moved into education, and then finally, for the last couple of years, I have been a professional coach, coaching people to trade professionally in the stock markets in a scientific manner last 2 years. Now today I have somebody who's been in real demand, very aggressive requests from a lot of you to have the session by Mr. S. Gopi Krishna, the managing partner of TCP. I think in a minute I'll get him to you to interact with you. Quick one. My background for him, let me explain you. I have known him for the last 20 years plus, and he's been the reason for my peace of mind in my life. Last 2 years, I'm doing what I want to do. I'm enjoying my international vacations, and I'm also relaxed, and I'm not stressed about anything in my life anymore. You can also take advantage of this kind of a situation. Let him go through the 30 minutes of his presentation, and then you can ask him questions. We will keep the questions towards the end. I request you to hold your questions. Maybe you can write down your questions on a piece of paper next to you, and in the end we will take your questions one by one. And it's okay, we will go for the questions for good 1 hour plus, so do not worry, your questions will be answered. The contact details of Mr. Krishna will also be shared on the last slide, so you can also note them. So, without taking much time, I would like you to be introduced to Mr. Krishna. Gopiji. This is how I address you as Gopiji. Good morning and welcome to this session. And, we have people here who would like to know more about financial planning from you. And in a matter of time, when you're done with your presentation, they would have some questions, and maybe you would like to answer some of their questions. Over to you, Gopiji. Good morning, all.
First of all, I would like to thank Rituraj ji for giving me an opportunity in Simple Trade platform. And I would like to thank everyone uh, on this Saturday morning joining me for this program. So let's go to our presentation. Start. I'll be speaking about goal-based investment planning. Now, to understand this, first, everybody should know about the Indian ecosystem. Like, what are the taxation rules and regulations we have for investments in India? For example, as for an individual, I would say, if you earn 10 lakhs in India, you pay around 54,000 in income tax. Suppose if you earn 20 lakh, then you pay around 2.96 lakh, which is around 3 lakh income tax, which is around sixfold. And if you earn 40 lakhs, you pay around 9 lakh 20,000 income tax. That's 4x income leads to 17x tax. Means you pay 17 times tax of what you earn while earning 10 lakh rupees in India. Now let's compare the taxpayers versus the non-taxpayers. Out of 140 crore population, only 6.8 crores filed income tax returns in 22-23. And out of this 6.8 crores, 4.6 crores paid zero tax. So basically what it says, every taxpayer compensates for the huge population, not even filing returns. Think, how does it impact you? So what's your plan B? It's essentially a backup plan to ensure financial stability in case of unexpected events. You need to define your personal action plan. Build an investment mindset, which can give you 12 to 15% CAGR, that is compounding annualized growth return. Make the best of LTCG tax. which is at 10%. Network with like-minded investors. Understand money, income and spending savings. Understand the financial freedom. Now think about you, your family, and your future in this ecosystem. Having enough savings, investments, and cash in hand to afford the lifestyle you want for your family. Now, is it just retirement or luxurious lifetime retirement? The choice is yours. Now, what happens? We slug it out to earn for our living. We don't realize that with a plan and little bit of savings, we can take care of our future needs. For your child to have a future with better and endless goal-based investing now we require planning for key life events. Now, investing versus goal-based investing. Is money a tool to improve life, or is life a tool to make money? Now, what happens? What the ordinary investors questions: how can I maximize my returns, or how did this portfolio perform last quarter, year, or a decade? Now, goal-based investors questions: what's important to me? What is cost and when? How do I maximize the likelihood that I have the money I need the things I care about? One need to have smart goals. Smart explains itself as for specific, M for measurable, A for attainable, R for realistic, T for trained. Then how does it work? First and foremost, think carefully in identifying the goals. This is what I always say. Before making an investment, one should know why we are making that investment. Understand financial goals. Now, your financial goals are your personal goals. You can have various financial goals at different stages in your life. Probably you are planning for certain goals today. Fewer down the line, you might be having one or two fewer goals which can be added to the plans. You need to identify each of your financial goals and prioritize them. Problem with people is they plan for something and they deviate from the plan. You need to provide and save for each of your financial goals. You should not confuse financial growth with financial wish. Now, goals are something you want to achieve by putting in efforts. So, a goal is a result that can be observed and measured and is expected to be achieved within a set time. Now, here, the same thing comes once again. Your goals must be defined in a smart way. Now, what is the process for setting up your financial goals? Identify your goals, prioritize your goals, understand the financial cost associated with each goal, set a timeline for each goal, consider how much you can save each month, then finalize your financial goals. Consider while goal setting what is important. Is your goal is important? Is it a goal or a wish? Money you need to accomplish your goal? Do you have adequate resources to finance your goals on time? Are you misjudging your timeline? Now, there are three types of goals. Like one is short-term goals, that is less than 5 years. Many of you must be having credit cards, and that's also a goal to pay up the credit card debt. Start saving and investing. Buy adequate life, medical insurance cover. Create a contingency fund for your emergencies, which is important. Like most of the time, people plan for certain things and they deviate and they use it for their contingency needs. So it is to be very clear from the beginning itself that you have a separate contingency fund in case of emergencies to use it. Provide for expenses towards your marriage. If already married, provide for your child's admission and education. And then you have this medium-term goals with a tenure of 5 to 15 years. Many of people, they will be having a goal like buying a house, buying a car, or a foreign vacation. Providing higher quality education to children, these are long-term goals basically. Getting your son and daughter married, planning for retirement, considering healthcare during old age. Then let's talk about it. There was a questionnaire which I shared while registering. And what I can see here is around 80% people, they want their retirement to be safe and secure. Now, there are around 39 to 40% people who feel professional uncertainties are there, then they need to take care of it. Children education and children marriage, which is around 35 to 30%. So here we can help. Each individual and family has different priorities.
Thank you, Gopi, for bringing in the perspective. I think what we will do is I'll request everyone to put your questions, and if you have any queries, you can ask Mr. Gopi. I think while he does that, I would start by asking you a couple of questions. So, for example, there is a person who's let's say 40 years old. He wants to plan for his retirement because, 10, 20 years down the line, he may be thinking about retirement. Now, for that, what is the kind of money that he needs to put in? What are the instruments available? How do people use the existing instruments for their planning? Can you throw some light on what have been the traditional ways of saving money, for example, savings account or investing and so on and so forth? What are the latest tools people use now to save money? How you have helped me? I know last 20 years has been phenomenal. Answer better is because people like you have really been meticulously planning my retirement. So maybe you can give a some color to the audience here as to what are the latest tools that can be used vis-a-vis what were the tools available earlier. And in the meanwhile, I would encourage all of you to ask questions. If you have any questions, please put it in the chat box so that while he's answering, I can read your questions and I can ask him your questions. Over to you.
See, the presentation which I gave, it spoke about financial planning and goal-based planning. You will find everywhere, like go to the internet, go through any books, you will always find goal-based planning is the best planning. But how many people they really follow this goal-based planning? Since the day I started my investment advisory journey, I have been advising people for goal-based planning. Any investor who comes to me, first and foremost, before going to advise for any scheme, it is what is the objective behind this investments? This is first and foremost important. You should know because people always deviate. This I have seen. Investments is something like hand holding. I always deviate. Suppose you plan an investment for certain purpose. After 3 year or 5 year, suddenly there is some requirement arises. And they immediately break that investment, they take it out and they divest for something.
Suddenly some other requirement came up and they want to use that fund for something else.
That's deviation. And if you look at the investment scenario here in India, we have several investment avenues where people normally invest. Like a salaried class of people, they will go for a PPF kind of account, like for retirement. Some people will take pension funds in insurance, like like thinking that they'll be getting annuities after they retire. There are schemes like those who have daughters at home, they take Sukanya Samriddhi Yojana. which is around 21 years of time frame. And there are so many other schemes. But then, if you look, these are all long term investments. And while making these investment plans, we need to see how can we maximize our return over a period of time. Because compounding, which is something, it's a wonderful thing. If you get better compounding over a period of time, your investments will be large, bigger, and it will help you to attain your goals. I can cite like no, since I'm into this and I have certain portfolios which are more than 23, 24 years old. Like no, people they have been investing for quite a long time. And in certain cases where people they have come back to me to know what needs to be done. Like no, once like certain plans of, which we made earlier, they are achieved. Here, I would like to cite like investments. It cannot be the same strategy for everyone. Everyone need is different, and accordingly we plan it.
So, interrupt you for a minute and ask one of the question that one of the users, Andre Lal from Chennai, he has asked this question. This question is how to select the right mutual fund, and is there an active fund, passive fund, on what criteria we choose the mutual fund? While Mr. Gopi will answer this question, I would encourage all of you to ask more questions. Over to you.
So let me come back to mutual funds. Why mutual funds? The investment avenues which I said, people they invest in PPF. Now PPF account is for 15 years. Why mutual funds then? PPF, everybody knows it is going to give you around 8% of return. That's true compounding. Now, when I say mutual fund, what is the kind of return you expect in mutual fund? Normally, people they don't see mutual funds in a long run. I've been seeing them for more than 18 years, 20 years, 22 years. I've made investments for many of my investors accordingly. Now, what I see, how these mutual funds generate and what kind of return they generate. Now, if you look at the scheme, there are thousands of schemes. Like if I look at Indian mutual fund scenario, there are around 48 to 50 companies. If you look at the schemes, there are more than 3,200 to 3,400 schemes. How to identify that scheme? In all these years, now if you look at the portfolios which I've made for my investors, I hardly take 5 to 6 schemes. That's it. Most of the mutual fund schemes, they are being sold as concept selling only. See what happens. Like suppose a particular scheme is there. Now, each and every scheme, it has an AUM, means people have invested money into that scheme. Suppose the scheme is, say, 2,000 crore scheme. Suppose the scheme, say, 5,000 crore scheme. There are schemes which is 30,000 crore also. Now, what happens when a scheme goes that big? Suddenly, the inflow of money becomes less into that mutual funds. Now, what happens? Because to attract more money for them, they come out with some new schemes. That is called concept selling, where people they will give fresh money to the mutual fund house. So, for me, what I have seen is identified 5 schemes. Like what 5 schemes are? One maybe a multi-cap scheme, one may be a mid-cap scheme, one may be a small cap scheme, and one for the tax saving. That's it. 4 or 5 schemes, and you stick to it. In short term, there might be, you can see there are certain schemes who have given you 60%, 70%, 80%, and certain sectoral funds they have given 100% also. It's just like stocks. How to identify? Like I can't identify, I can predict a scheme which will give you 100% return in 1 year. But when you make investment with a certain goal, then over a period of time, you will see your fund, they have given you around 15 and beyond. That's what I've seen. A scheme which has given 60%, somebody says, OPJ, this scheme has given 60%. Why don't I choose this scheme? That's not the way to select that scheme for a long term goal. I will see a scheme which is consistently giving a return over a period of time. When you stretch the return for 5 years and beyond, 5 year, 10 year, you will always find the return has come and settled somewhere between 12, 15, 16, 18. That is phenomenal return.
So it's not because it is that it will be difficult for a retail investor to identify the right mutual fund on his or her own. However, with the professional guidance, he or she will be able to, identify the right mutual fund or right set of mutual funds which are based on their specific goals.
Yes.
That is what you will help them with.
Yes.
Okay. I have a lot of questions going in one by one, so I would encourage everyone to please keep asking questions. Your questions are in front of me. I'll let him speak and finish on one answer, and then I'll again ask him your questions. But we are not in a hurry. We will take each and every question. So please keep on asking your questions.
So let me come with few examples. Then we'll correlate. These are not examples. These are live things which I have done for my investors. Now, since I cannot share you those statements, I cannot show you the names. This is beyond my ethics. I can share you the stories which I've done in all these years. For an example, for retirement planning, I met this lady. She used to be a teacher. Now she came to me in 2005. She had only 5 lakh of rupees, private teacher, private school teacher. She said, keep this 5 lakh and I want this money in 2015 when she retires. 10 years down the line. So the goal was fixed because I wanted to know what will she do with this 5 lakh rupees. She said she will retire at the age of 5 lakh rupees. What return this will give? But that's a strategy to make. That's on the onus is on me. What I did, that's way back in 2005. I invested this 5 lakh in an identified scheme. In 2015, when she came back to me after she retired, she asked me, what is the return? The value was 20 lakh 30,000, this 5 lakh. 20 lakh. You can imagine, because it has only 15.85% return. That's according to my portfolio, like what compounding. The compounding was a major factor here. Now 15 lakh has grown to 20 lakh 30,000. Now she said what to do. Then after discussing certain why, she said they went to their banker, husband and wife, they went to their banker, HDFC Bank. Now HDFC Bank advised them, they asked him whether your money is mutual fund. Okay, you take this money out and we will make an FD so that your capital will be safe. We will start giving you 11,000 rupees every month. Now, my question was to them, did they ask you how long this money is being in mutual funds? No. What kind of return it is generating? No. Then how come we decided like, no, let's put the money in FD and you start taking 11,000 rupees? Then this couple, they said me, like, you advise us what needs to be done. I said, see, this portfolio is already generating 15.85% in all these years. Now, ideally, what I feel, it's 9% which you can enjoy every month. Like now, if you divide it into 12 parts, you can enjoy 9% over a long period of time. Now, what I did is I calculated 9% on 20 lakh 30,000. That comes out to 15,225 every month. Now, what I suggested, instead of 15,225, make it a round figure. I start giving you 15,000 every month on first of every month. And we meet after in 2025, after 10 years. We will not see in between what is happening. Now, the money starts flowing into them, into their account every month on first, 15,000 rupees. After 7 years, in 2022, I called them up. There was some KYC issue, and I fulfilled that part. And I explained them that despite taking every month money 15,000, that's called systematic withdrawal plan. Systematic withdrawal plan every month, like we called SIP while investing, withdrawing while making withdrawals, we called it systematic withdrawal plan. Now this money, that's capital of 20 lakh 30,000, was 27 lakh 80,000.
This is the same 5 lakh rupees he had invested in 2005.
Yes. Despite taking 15,000.
What was the amount?
27 lakh 80,000. Now, why this has happened? Because the portfolio was growing at 15.85 and I took out 9% out of it. So there was a 6% buffer which was helping the capital to grow. Yes. Huh.
Despite him taking out
15,000 every month.
15,000 every month.
Yes. And what I suggested, instead of 15,000, I'll make it 20,000. That was in 2022. So now 20,000 every month, first of every month, they have been getting in their bank account. Right now, the value is 37 lakhs. Now, what I had told them, when it crosses 35 lakh, I'll make it 25,000. So, what it shows is you enjoy your money throughout your life and leave the capital to whomever you think. Like,
बन गया 37 lakhs. 5 lakhs and 37.
and every month they are getting 12 lakhs.
You got your monthly returns.
That. This is a smaller example which I am showing. This is a life. Similar I have done with the bigger investments also. People, those who are like whose 40 lakh has grown to 1.7, they are retiring and they have been getting around 1.4 lakh every month. Till the day they are in this earth, and this will continue. This is one aspect of financial planning. This probably
Financial freedom, monthly salary of 1 lakh. So there is one question like this from Vasu, and there is another one which says what is the rolling return and CAGR difference? Well, that's theory. I will have to skip that, or maybe if you can explain briefly. Someone is asking, I can invest about 1 lakh a month. Would you suggest it is for the daughter who's 28 years and my granddaughter who's 3 years? That means she's talking about her children as well as her grandchildren. So I guess some of your questions, what is the best trick for an age of 34 with no plans made earlier? So somebody who's starting completely fresh at the age of 34, and a fresh starter, what is the best thing to do for the best outcomes? So these are many questions if you can roll them into one and probably suggest something. What do you?
see. Let me again go back here. While planning, what happens? That earlier also I had spoken was deviation. Now, here is one more example. What has happened? Investor, way back in 2004, he came to me and said, I have 3,40,000 to invest. The first question was, what is the purpose? Why you want to make this investment? He said, I have a daughter of 2 year old and I would like to make an investment, a part investment for her marriage. So what is that? He said, no, 1 lakh rupee I would like to invest for the marriage. Marriage planning. She is 2 year old. Then the first question was, I asked her, where did you get this money? Have you made any investments which has given you 3,40,000? I said, no, no, no. There was a land sale in my ancestral hometown, and I got my share of money, 3 lakh. So if you invest 1 lakh of rupee, what will you do with the balance, 2,40,000? He said, no, घर है, इसमें कुछ renovation कर सकता हूँ. He said. But I asked him, is it so important that you need to invest that money here in that home? नहीं ऐसा नहीं है कर भी सकते हैं नहीं भी कर सकते हैं and the question was why don't you invest the entire money in the kid's name so that her marriage will be completely done by the time she grows up तो वो कहते हैं ठीक है then he took 2 days 2 years old 2 years old
And the money available was how much?
3,40,000
3,40,000 rupees for the daughter of 2 years old. And you wanted this person to invest this money right now to be taken out at the time of the daughter. Wow.
now what has happened see it took around 2-3 days for him to decide and finally he came and invested this 3,40,000 this was in 2004
2004. That means how many years back? 20 years back.
20 years back.
Okay.
Now, what has happened is, after, see, in 2009, he came back to me. He said, Gopi ji, ये जो पैसे हैं 3,40,000, now it has grown to 7,60,000 odd thousand. So I need some money. Now, what was our existing plan? I asked, where is the marriage card? He said, मजाक कर रहे हो? बच्ची तो 7 साल की है. How can I? Then you can't. You should not take this money out. There is a plan to it. Then it took me 3 days to convince him that this money is only meant for our marriage. Unless and until that marriage event comes, you are not going to take this money out. And he went off. He didn't took this money away. Again, come 2015, he again come back to me and said, this money is 27,80,000. या मेरे यार दोस्त हर कोई कह रहा है कि म्यूचुअल फंड में है पैसा 27 लाख हो गया है, 10 लाख तो मुझे चाहिए ही चाहिए. And you won't believe, he called me several times. This time, 5 days, 6 days, I tried to convince him, and finally I had to tell him, bring your wife to me. Both of them, husband wife, they were sitting in front of me, and then I explained, this money is only meant for the daughter's marriage, nothing else, come whatsoever.
And this was 340,000 in the year 2004.
Yes.
And it had become how much?
27,80,000 in 2015. And that's no magic. It was hardly 16% return. Okay. Now what has happened? He went back. He didn't took the money out. Now the same daughter, she is 22-year-old. The value is around 93 lakhs. 3 lakhs. No matching, nothing. Only 16%.
4 lakhs was the investment which he wanted to invest in renovating his house.
Yes.
It's just that small amount.
Yes. Because time. Now, what has happened is, everybody, they don't realize wealth creation is the factor of time, not money. If you say, I have so much money, I have 50 lakh or a crore of rupees, I don't have time. Very difficult to generate value to it. But when you have time, even the smallest of money will become very big.
This is what I mean by goal-based investing.
That's it. Now,
The goal was the child's marriage.
yes. What happens is, like earlier I told you, people deviate. Means every time and on there will be something which will crop up. And this is very easy. When you look at your investment and you see the value, you will think that इसी से निकालना है अभी. So when you invest, उसके ऊपर आपको लिख देना, unless and until this purpose comes, I am not going to take out this money, come whatsoever, कुछ भी हो जाए. So each and every investment, whether for it is retirement planning, or for your child's marriage, or for your child's education, or for buying a car, you can plan for each and everything. You need smaller amounts.
So one of the reasons I'm asking, I invested in so what do you suggest? So my suggestion would be, Aruna, that you can get in touch with him one-to-one, and because you need to first define your goals as he shared in the presentation. So once your goals are defined, once your priorities are set,
Segregate those investments.
then we can identify what investment is required at this stage that would take care of your goals at the time when it becomes realistic at that time.
Yes.
The next question is, can you term plan for the 20 years of age? And another question is, which one is better, SWP or some kind of a FD with laddering strategy? So these are technical terms, I think.
I'll explain here because somebody who's asked SWP. Now, for SWP to get affected, you need to create your capital first. First, make investment for a certain period of time. Then there has to be goal. Why? What for? Suppose somebody at the age of 45, he want to retire at 55. Now you have 10 years age. Or would you, suppose if you want to retire at 60, you have 15 years age. Now you can start investing for 15 years. At the end of 15th year, you can start taking systematic withdrawal plan to take care of your retirement needs.
So my voice is not reaching clearly. If you are able to hear Mr. Gopi Krishna's voice, what I would request is when I ask you a question, you can repeat that question and then start answering. So that way they will understand what I have asked you. So
I'll take a break from here. Like I would say, Many a time you will come across an insurance agent comes to you and he says, no, you should always have a pension plan. So what happens in pension plan? Conventional pension plans and unit-linked pension plans are there. Now, on an average, if you see conventional pension plans, they give you around 6.5% of return kind of thing. Now, suppose you take a plan and at the end of 15th year or 20th year, you realize your inflows, like no, the annuities, like no, which you get every month, that's too low. Because at that point of time, in the beginning, while taking this plan, you were given a very big rosy picture where you'll be getting a bigger amount. But while retiring, you 15 years down the line, probably you never thought this money won't be enough for me that at that point of time. So you lost an opportunity of making investment all these years or compounding your money with a better plan.
So there's another user asking this question that if he or she has not started, maybe the age of 30, 35, 40, what is it that he or she can do to now onwards get into creating some kind of a money? So is there some kind of a mutual fund or whatever? So maybe you can repeat my question and start answering the question.
Yes, now there is a question that somebody who's 34-year old, now he wants to start planning for his retirement. If I see the retirement at 55 or 60, we have enough number of years to accumulate
Money.
the money. One can invest like no in one or two schemes. Like no, probably like earlier I said no, my all my investments they are into 4 and 5 different types of schemes only. I always take one multi cap, one mid cap, one small cap, and there is one tax planning. Likewise, like no, all these investment, like even retirement planning also can be done in these schemes.
Any more questions? Or is there some question that I have not been able to pick up for you?
A few of the plans which I would like to suggest them.
Sure.
Every now and then, like many investors, they buy a car. Now, what I suggest is, suppose if you buy a car for yourself, you know you'll be driving it for 8, 10 years. That's it. Even if you buy a petrol car nowadays, no, you can't keep the car beyond 15 years. And with the current generation, they don't keep the car, which I feel is 8 to 10 years. After that, they change the car. When you buy a car alongside, suppose you plan for, suppose for an example, somebody has a plan for a 10 lakh car, 10 lakh rupee of like no, the value of the car. Now, when I plan it, suppose for an example, I start an SIP of 3,000 rupees. So yearly, I'm paying 36,000. So in 10 years' time, I'll be paying 3,60,000. Now, by the end of 10th year, this 3,60,000 will be again 10 lakh.
Very interesting.
And I sell my existing car, suppose 10 lakh car, I get a value of 2 lakh. Then at the fag end of 10th year, I'll be having 12 lakh to buy a new car instead of running here and there, pulling out money out of my existing investments or taking a loan. I can.
So when somebody buys a car of let's say 10 lakhs, one can start an SIP of another 3 lakhs, sorry, 3,000 rupees per month, and that will fund the next car.
Wow. This is so every 10th year. In your lifetime, you can buy second, third car like that. You don't have to worry to buy a car. Where do I pull my money? So accordingly, suppose you have a plan of 10 lakh car, somebody might be having a plan of 20 lakh car. Similarly, the SIP goes beyond this. Like no, 3 becomes 6.
Interesting, interesting. So I have some more questions on if you want to ask on mutual funds. Anything do you want to ask on mutual funds? Can you suggest some good mutual funds to invest in, or would it be specific to an individual?
But
Would you like to suggest some mutual funds, or um, Would it be specific to for an individual?
Specific to individual, I would say.
It will be specific to individual.
Specific to individual, they can connect me one to one, and I will suggest the schemes.
Okay. So what you're suggesting is they can connect with you one to one. I have a question from Amitav. He's from Kolkata. He says, I'm retired 60 plus. Any suggestions or plan for a corpus of 10 lakhs for regular income?
Yes. See, to get a regular income in mutual funds, you need to give time. Suppose today I have a 10 lakh rupees, I invest 10 lakh in mutual funds from the day one, I cannot withdraw. You need to give at least 3 to 5 years for your capital to grow to see what is the kind of interest or income it is generating. Then only you will be in a position to take a systematic withdrawal. People, those who have retired 60 or 65 or 70 or 85, there are products which are available in the market which can give them around 10% of return. So there, the appreciation of capital may not happen because you will be taking the interest as it is. So there are different products. There are certain products like P2P lending platforms. Probably this may be a new term for everyone. What is P2P? This is peer-to-peer lending platforms, which gives you around 10% of return, month on month basis on your capital. So I can elaborately discuss like somebody connects me one to one.
So this is more one to one. Okay. Another question I have from Ravindra: what type of mutual fund should we invest based on our goals? 1 lakh in multi cap, 1 lakh in mid cap, 1 lakh in large cap. What do you suggest? How should we go about planning our investment in mutual funds?
See, planning for investment requires, like, suppose you have a goal. Now, to achieve that goal, you must be having a figure in your mind. We have to back calculate how much money you need to put into that particular scheme so that that objective is achieved. So it may be different. Like,
So what you're saying is that we need to first identify goals. Why are you investing?
why, yeah, and what is the
So rather than identifying how much money should we invest in mid cap, small cap, large cap, we should first identify what are the goals. Then we can backwork and figure out which and what type of mutual fund to invest in.
what type of money I require to achieve that goal. Suppose, for an example, I would say you have a daughter who is, say, 10-year-old. Now, you know, there are 2 points where you need maximum money. At the age of 17, when she does her professional studies, and while marriage. Now, if I see here, 10-year-old girl, at the age of 17 or 18, you need money for higher education. You have only 7 years of time frame to achieve that goal. Suppose you are thinking that she will go for an engineering kind of. Now you need to think for the worst. What are the expenditure in your area? Suppose you go to a best of the college. What is the fee they're going to charge you in today's scenario? If it is 20 lakh for the whole 4 years, then probably 7 year down the line, you add inflation to it. It might be 24 lakhs or 25 lakhs after 7 years. Now you need to plan to achieve 25 lakhs instead of 20 lakhs. So if I need to achieve 25 lakhs and have 7 year time frame with me, and what sort of money I need to have every month, that has to be calculated. Similarly, for marriage also, we plan that backward calculation. What money needs to be invested? It's not 1 lakh, 1 lakh, 1 lakh in each and every scheme. What is the money and what is the amount you want to arrive at? It happens. I've been seeing them over last 25 years.
So essentially what you're saying is, once again to summarize, what you're saying is we need to have the goals very clear. Unless the goals are clear, it's a random investing. That it's not goal-based investing. So what is this money that you're investing for? What is this investment meant for? And that is what will decide how much to invest and where to invest.
So every time you see the scheme you have invested, you will realize that this is meant for this only. I'm not going to withdraw. So contingency scheme is required. Suppose you are working, you need to have at least 5 or 6 months salary in your contingency fund. so that you should not take the money out of the other plans. That is what this is.
Sure. Another question from Srinivas. The question is, what are the recommended lump sum investment options for a 40-year-old with a deferred returns option up to 5 to 10 years?
See, there are two the process of investments are two or three. Somebody who has lump sum amount, they can invest at one go. I don't see, like in all these years, I've never seen the markets. Anybody who says me, say I have 5 years and beyond, 5 years, 10 years. Please seen in all these years. If you opt for a very good scheme, diversified scheme, they have always given you 12, 15 and beyond. And almost many of my portfolios, they have been giving around 19% and 21%, which is phenomenal, I always feel. And very rarely I've seen a portfolio which has given 17.5% in all these years. All these investments which I have done so far, at least 90% of them, they are all goal-based investment with financial planning. That's why, all these people of my investors, they always come back to me before they deviate or they plan for something else.
Hi, Padmanabha Hola, is that what kind of services you provide at TCP and what are your fees?
No, there are two types of investment advisory. One is called RIA, Registered Investment Advisors, who charge a fee for their advisory services. And the other one is simple advisory. We are into the other category. We don't charge, and whatever the fund house pays us, we are content with it. That's
So basically, you do not charge your clients.
yes.
So there is no money to be paid by anyone who's uh, taking your services. There is no money they will pay you directly.
My purpose is to identify out of these 3,400 schemes, I should identify such schemes which will give you best of the returns for the time frame which you have planned. That is all. And suppose there are few people there who those who come back with their portfolios to me, and I find out many of the schemes which they have taken, this is not relevant, and you realize the same thing after 7 years. Therefore, yesterday I met with a gentleman here in one of the government offices. He's been investing mutual funds since 2017. Now the irony is, from 2017 today we are seventh year gone. And he has invested in only two AMCs and he has taken 21 schemes.
So you also help people in sanitizing their portfolio,
Yes.
where you identify what is a relevant investment based on the goals that they are telling you, and what is the investment that can be shuffled, shifted, or redone based on the goals. So you analyze and optimize the portfolio as well. Okay. So I think your question is answered, Hala. I have a question from Varnika Sharanya. She says, what are the advantages between direct stock investing versus mutual fund? What's your suggestion?
Now, when you make investment in stocks directly, you need to choose according to your expertise, or you take help from an expert. It may be no, in all these years, apart from this mutual fund, I have a stock division also. I don't advise there. People they do on their own. In all these years, I have seen very few people they have made money. No, probably when a bull run kind of there's no last 4 years, some people they have made money. But in a bear phase, absolutely nobody has made money out of the stock market in my term.
So this means mutual funds are far better and a consistent ways of building the wealth.
That's how it is.
That's how it is. Okay. I guess you got your answer, Varnika. Another question is, what is the goal? What is the goal is simply to reach a 2 crore mark. So how can a person reach a 2 crore, 1 crore, whatever number of certain goal in terms of money, not in terms of life event? Is that the right way to approach the investment? And how do we do it?
You have goal attached to it. The money will never stay. This I have seen. You will be seeing your portfolio at 50 lakh, 1 crore, in between you will start withdrawing the money. When you attach a goal, You always remember the goal. That's how the money stays. And you're right. Suppose you create a portfolio for your retirement. And you see, like I was saying a few moments ago, somebody who had invested 40 lakh, today the same portfolio is around 1 crore 62 lakh. Now that guy, he is retiring in the month of August, this next month. And I promised him that by the time he retires, every month he will be getting around 1 lakh 25,000 at the beginning. And we will reset it after 3 years, every 3 years or 4 years.
So I think what we will do is, by the time the session ends, I will share the contact details on the screen of Mr. Gopi Krishna, and you can reach him directly for your queries. Uh, but while you do that, I want to take up another question. I have a question from Vasu. He says, I want to create a corpus of 1 crore in 10 years. How much should I invest and where should I invest?
10 crores, sorry, 1 crore in 10 years. Need to calculate, like, just a moment.
No, so the point is, you have to also, as I understand from Dr. Gopi, you have to also define what is it that 1 crore that will go for. So where is the goal? So the question is back again, are you first looking at the goal, or are you looking at the money? So what is your goal? Is it the retirement planning or is it your professional uncertainties? What exactly is it? So you need to reset your goals, identify your goals, and then ask this question because it's very simple. We can calculate using a calculator and tell you ki, how much you can invest per month, and that you can do one to one with him also. But the key word is: are you setting up your goals so that he can guide you where you can invest that, where you can get your one more to go in to fund that particular goal?
I can see the question here. Somebody has asked me, this is Yadgiri Rekha. A good term plan for the 25 years and age. But it is always better to take a term plan at the early age. Now, what is happening is, earlier, say 10 years before, all the term plans they used to cover till the age of 60 or 65. Now, the advantage in present scenario, most of the term plans they give you coverage till the age of 85. 85 is a good number, but I feel somebody like can take a policy up to that. And there are certain plans which are available, limited paying term plan. You can pay for 10 years and you can ensure your life to be covered till 85. Now, for a young boy who is around 25 years old, premium will be far less. Suppose you take a normal term plan, then you pay from the age 25 till 85. It's a long period. 65 years you'll be paying. Oh, sorry, 60 years you'll be paying the premium. Instead of that, you can pay only for 10 years. Probably, I can say your figures at 25 year for 1 crore, it will be around 50,000, 55,000 per annum. I'm saying, say for 10 years, you pay 5,50,000 and you are sorted out, like no, for the whole life till the age of 85.
I have a question which says, is it suggested to invest 10 lakhs completely in equity at an age of 50 for a goal of retirement, or do you suggest some portion of it in the debt and equity?
See, when you have a time frame of 5 year and beyond, 100% it has to go into equity. I don't understand. There are certain principles they say it should be like no 50. If you are 50-year-old, then 50% should go into equity, rest 50% into debt. In all these 26 years, see, there are people who are 65, 70 also, they have invested in equity schemes through me. See, the question was, what for this money? Are you dependent on this money? They say, no, this is inheritance money. Suppose tomorrow they are not there, this money will go to their kids. So, till the day they are there, say 3, 4 years, they invest, they enjoy the money and they leave the money. That's how it is. Suppose you are asking me a question, you are at 50, whether I should go all out into equity schemes for my retirement plan. Absolutely, bang on. You should go 100% into equity schemes since you have a 10-year time frame.
I think you know the answer. Another question is, do you recommend a regular plan or a growth plan to your customers?
Regular plan or growth plan?
For a mutual fund, do you recommend a regular plan or a growth plan?
Regular or direct plan that is called. Growth. See, I will always go for a growth plan. First, you accumulate your wealth. Now, suppose somebody is on retirement, he will require an SWP kind of a regular return. Suppose you are investing for your child's education, then at certain point of time, you will try to withdraw that money. For an example, suppose your child is around say 7 year, 8 year, or a 10 year. Similarly, 7 year, 8 year, or 10 year investment plan. You are investing first year when she joins up to 12th in a professional course. You may not be requiring the whole money at the day one itself. So for the first year, you withdraw that money which is required for the first year. So over a period of 4 years, you use this money so that your capital also grows and you can able to use this money also. Yes, growth.
Hanumant Sonwane is that um, are all the term plans reliable in terms of claims? Because he says, I didn't see any of the claim settlement in my known premises.
You should always go to the best of the companies. Like, no, for example, the top three companies in India, I would say. One thing you should see, what is the the settlement ratio?
Oh.
For example, if I look at HT Life, they have a settlement ratio of 99.5%. When you go to a max kind of thing, there it is 97%. There are certain companies where you go, it will be 94%. Lesser also.
So basically, what you're suggesting is go to the top companies which have track record of settlement of claims.
Yes, that's how.
It's important to understand that you're not lured by the high interest.
It's not only like no, normally what happens, an agent comes to you through a link, through a friend circle or something, he suggests you a scheme. Don't go by it. Make your own research. See which company is the best. Everybody will say my company is best. It is only you can go to the internet and check what are the settlement ratio of all these companies, big companies. Top three companies in India like HDFC or an SBI or an ICICI. That's it. I don't see beyond this any other.
Okay, the gentleman is saying that thanks for taking my question. I meant direct plan and mentioned growth unknowingly. So what you're saying is direct plan लेंगे या growth plan लेंगे?
See, no, direct plan is like जैसे stock आप अपने आप से लेते हैं.
Oh,
There are around 3,400 schemes in India. आप कैसे लेते हैं? You just see the economic times, you see the various things which comes, वो आपको दिखा देंगे. This scheme is number one. You go according to the return. But there are several parameters for choosing a scheme. You don't know who the fund manager is. You don't know what style of investment pattern they follow. Today you are entering into a scheme. You never know where it will be after 10 years. So identifying those schemes. See, for an example, I always say 5 schemes. Here I will name one or two schemes which I had suggested long time back to my investors. See, probably at today's context, they might not be relevant. There might be some other schemes today's time, but that doesn't mean that I will take that money out and start putting in these schemes. Somebody is already making a compounding of 18%. I will never take that money out. For an example, Reliance Growth Fund. The earlier name was. Now it is known as Nippon India Growth Fund. Look at the NAVs. It is quoting more than 3,000 plus. When I identified this scheme, the NAVs used to be around 104 rupee, 105 rupee.
So can I ask you a simple question based on the series of questions that I'm getting on the chat box? Um, are we in a position to decide which is the best mutual fund, or should we leave this decision to a professional like you to guide us? Because, see, if I come to you and I'm asking for support, you are not obviously charging me anything. You're not charging any money from me. You're still giving me the professional advice on where to invest, how to invest, how much to invest based on my requirements. So what you're saying is that rather than me deciding which fund to invest, how much to invest, you will be able to guide me basis three goals that I have set for myself, right? And since you are not charging any money from me, I am happy to give you this decision making power that I invest in so and so fund for you and so on and so forth. So what you're recommending in my understanding and help me understand this better, that rather than as an individual investor, rather than I investing in the fund myself, you would be in a position, your organization will be in a position to guide us better. And since you're not taking any money, it works well for me as well. Is it correct? My understanding is correct?
It's correct. Here I would like to add up, like, when you interact with someone like who has financial competence, like for advising. See, you will find many people there. They work as an advisor. For me, it is like no. I have been advising for 25 years. That means practically I have seen all these portfolios in all these years. 25 years. That's how it is.
Okay. So another question that is coming is there are a lot of apps today which are, the very first place, people who are doing the same thing that you're doing, apps like Crores, Cryptox, etc., etc. Should we consider investing through those apps? And what are the differentiating factors that when we, ask you for your guidance, how does it make a difference?
See, possible. First of all, I always say knowing the schemes, which schemes you are going to invest, and what is the time frame. Suppose there are certain apps, no, they are good apps, like no, they give you convenience of direct investing. But then who will decide where to invest? Suppose you choose few schemes and you realize then they are not doing well after 7 years or 10 years. So you will always fall short of your plans, whatever plans you are making. That's why it is always no. It's always better to go with someone who already has a knowledge, who has been seeing this environment for all these years. Practically, I'm seeing these schemes. No, hope I could have shown you some of the existing investments online, but which is in fact no, it is beyond ethics. Those schemes, like I said, one scheme, Nippon India Growth Fund. Now, out of these five schemes, there was a time I selected Mirai Asset Emerging Businesses Fund, Emerging Blue Chip Fund. No, only five schemes. They have given phenomenal 18, 19, not today's scenario. Probably they are not relevant today. I will opt for some other scheme today. But people, those who have invested in those schemes, are not going to take them out since they are already getting 18, 19% return, compounding all these years.
So another question is, what should be considered while regarding terms and conditions of a term and while buying a plan?
Okay.
Another question is, what do you suggest a person with a goal to create purpose which can take care of monthly expenses after 10, 15 years? And the third question is, third question is, what is the best value of NAV to enter into a mutual fund?
This is a good question. Now, everybody has this question like, what is the best value or NAV to enter? Don't look NAVs as you see the stock prices. Now, for an example, somebody asked, no, scheme quotes 3,000 rupees NAV. Whether I should enter here or should I buy a scheme which is quoting rupee? There is an NFO which is coming in the market with a 10 rupee. Now, the problem is with a 10 rupee scheme, I do not know which terrain it will go in the going, like in long run. Whereas, I have the existing scheme, I know the fund manager, I know how he manages this scheme and what sort of returns he has arrived over these years. So, for example, for to explain this NAV concept, I'll tell you. Suppose you have an investment amount of 1 lakh of rupee. Now, a scheme which is quoting 10 rupee, you will give 1 lakh to him. With this 1 lakh of rupee, he will buy stocks for his portfolio today at today's rate. The same 1 lakh rupee I give to a scheme which NAV is quoting 3,000 rupees. With the same 1 lakh rupee, he will buy the same stocks at today's value. Now, if there is a 10% growth in the market, your 10 rupee will become 10 rupee NAV will become 11 rupee, and your 1 lakh will become 1 lakh 10,000 rupees. Whereas in the similar time, 3,000 rupees NAV, number of units will be low. When the market goes 10%, your value will also grow 10%. And I think personally, it always goes beyond 10% because it has an existing portfolio which has like no uh, schemes. Sorry, the equities time tested and proven, which gives you better return comparatively. And with a new scheme, the charges are higher. Whereas an existing older scheme, which has a bigger AUM, they have lesser charges.
I think for you, Abhijit, that there is no best value for NAV. It all depends upon the scheme, and it depends upon what is your advisor advising you on which scheme to go for. And what he's also suggesting is that it might be a good idea, probably, to go for a scheme which is a pre-existing scheme, an older scheme with a higher NAV value also, that might give you a better bang for your buck. So that is what you got the question.
Most of these newer schemes, no, they come with concept selling, like earlier explained. They all these AMCs or mutual fund companies, they compete with each other to maximize how much money I'm managing. So unless and until they come with a new scheme periodically, it is difficult for them to take money from people. अरे इसमें तो मैंने कर दिया था और कोई नया बताओ और कोई नया बताओ अरे why नया बताओ since you have this 3 4 schemes which is being doing exceedingly well, why don't you put money into those schemes. ये हमेशा रहता है, ये आज की नई बात नहीं है. लेकिन पीपल दे हैव बीन कमिंग टू मी, कोई नया स्कीम बताओ. नहीं, कभी भी जाता हूँ आप इसी में कहते हो. आप इसी में देखो ना, दिस ऑल दिस 5 schemes or whatever I had suggested in all these years. Now after a while, after investing for 10 or 15 years, they realize, they say, आपने बिल्कुल सही कहा था. That's how it is.
So what I'm saying is, a new scheme is not necessarily a good scheme, right? Not necessarily. And existing scheme, it may sound boring that it is the same old scheme, but then that has become a little more reliable over a period of time because it has been in existence and it's got a track record. So it might be better to stick to a well-known scheme. I have another question, very interesting question from Rekha. She says, what is your say on quant small cap fund based on the recent front running case since we are investing in SIPs? Any thoughts on that?
Absolutely no problem. See, this type of cases I have been seeing from all these years. Go back 2 years, there were cases about similar kind of things which has happened with other mutual funds. Again, go back 5 years, there were some cases with Franklin India. Nothing has happened. See, what I see is when you are investing in a scheme, there are 50 or 60 stocks. Now, these stocks is not of quant. They are listed companies which are there in the platform. Something happens like, no, suppose tomorrow SEBI makes a penalty of 50 lakh of rupees to quant small cap. How does it affect the scheme? Unless people they get panicked and withdraw the money. I don't think there is any problem. First, let's understand where these mutual funds they invest. Now, if I no, when I say there are schemes like no large cap schemes or a mid cap schemes or a small cap, what happens? Overall, if you look at BSC, for an example, I'm saying there are around 5,400 plus listed companies there. In how many companies these mutual funds they invest? If somebody is having a large cap scheme, that means they need to follow the large cap index. And they are bound by SEBI that they're entitled to invest only top 100 companies, not beyond that. Similarly, for a mid cap scheme, they are allowed to invest in top 250 companies. For a smaller cap scheme, they are allowed to invest only in 750 schemes. So put together, they invest hardly in 1100 or 1200 stocks, not beyond that. So they are filtered and best of the stocks. And you look at this particular scheme which you have named, like no quant small cap, phenomenal returns. Quant used to be an advisory company. They took up a Scots Mutual Fund in 2017 or so, and from then onwards, like all of their schemes, they have been doing exceedingly well.
I see. I see. Rekha answered. I think your question is answered. No need to panic. No need to worry. These are the small incidents that will keep propping up every once in a while, every now and then. Okay. More question is, how good are the investments directly? For example, in a platform like AT Money or whatever. So, in to the platform. So, how good are the investments directly? And what is your view? Investments in terms of long term.
See, many of the times, I have seen there are younger investors who have come to me after investing 2 or 3 years with this all these platforms. Now the problem is unless you talk to someone and you connect to someone, ample number of time I've seen investment has never stayed and they have taken out this money. So you need to keep on interacting for schemes and while you are repeatedly saying to yourself and to your advisor that this money is meant only for this purpose. That is how you are going to succeed in your investments. All these platforms, where it is ET Money or Grow, there are several others also. There you take schemes according to your choice. See, there are few smart people, they come to us like me in the several advice. They take down the names and they invest. But the scheme also differs from advisor to advisor. Like you go to a bank, for an example, there is no difference between me and any other nationalized bank or a private bank. They do the same thing, wealth advisor. Now, the problem with all these banks is, because, sorry to say, because I've seen many portfolios people, those who have run through banks, they will advise only those schemes where they have made an agreement with certain fund houses. This is the flavor of the month. We are going to sell this. Since they have branches all over India, they sell a particular scheme for a particular month. So they end up. And invested, they do not know. Simply they see the other end of the table, a banker is sitting and he is advising. And you are taking the scheme. That's how it is. Here, for me, it's a completely non-biased advice. Don't go by what the fund house says. I have my certain parameters of choosing a scheme. That's why I always say it never goes beyond 5 schemes. Because if I look at the mutual fund scenario, there are 46 companies, and all 46 of them they will come to me and say, "Why don't you sell my scheme?" No, that's not the way to selling a scheme. Because I am answerable to my investors over a period of time. If that's how it is.
I don't know if it is relevant or not. Someone has asked, is it wise to invest in European schemes as an NRI or convert the euros to rupees and invest in Indian mutual funds because Indian mutual funds are really doing very well. But the conversion from euro and taxes are high in Europe. So, what is it that, I don't know if it is a relevant question, but would you have a take on this question?
Uh, there is a platform, I would say, जो अपने अहमदाबाद में उन्होंने बनाया है, what is it? Gift City.
Mhm.
You can open an account in Gift City, any of the branch in Gift City,
Mhm.
where through that account you can invest so that no your relative fear of this euro versus rupee that will be taken care of. No, directly you can invest through that Gift City account. Any of the banks you can open a bank account there, and you can invest from there in Indian mutual funds. Suppose if your status is say NRI, and even if you have citizenship of that country also, you can invest through your PIO, sorry, OCI card, Overseas Citizen of India. You can make your KYC here and you can start investing in mutual funds. And all these mutual funds also can be retrievable in either euros or dollars to your respective countries where you are living.
So I think what we will do is, I'm sure you will have zillions of questions, and you will have there are more questions coming in, but I would like to keep it simple here. What he is suggesting you is a goal-based investing is a better approach. If I can summarize, that we need to have a goal and then invest for that goal. He's given 2, 3 case studies in his explanation as to how that 3,40,000 rupees became 27 lakhs and more, and 93 lakhs. And also how a small 5 lakh example of the teacher who was to retire in 10 years became a source of regular income for her post her retirement. So, so I think the nutshell is that if you have any query, you can obviously directly contact him on these numbers. You can write him an email or you can make a phone call in the office hours and you will have your questions answered. The numbers are flashing on your screen and your details is also there. And if you're based in Delhi NCR, you can also fix up an appointment from his office and have a face-to-face meeting. You can come along with your family, your spouse, or whatever, and it might be a good idea to come and sit together and take a decision in a wise manner. So that's one. And of course, this session is being recorded live on YouTube, so you can always go back and replay this session for your records, and you can also share it with your friends and family. I would request you to click on the like button, and at least so many more people can go through it. Feel free to subscribe to the channel as well. Simple Trade Options. And I would like to now conclude this and thank Mr. Gopi Krishna for his valuable time. And I'm sure I have more questions on index fund and PE ratio and other things. Can I suggest you take this up directly with him on the email is written there? Abhijit, Amalraj, I have some more questions I know, but in the interest of time, I think it rather and also some of these things become repetitive. I don't want that to be a boring thing for others. So understand that and ask your personal situations and personal questions one to one. That would probably be making much more sense. Um, there another person has asked about specific question from Kolkata, but I suggest you connect with him directly one to one. I would like to close this and conclude this and ask you to get in touch with him directly. Thank you so much for your time, Gopiji. You have been a great inspiration for me. I know how I'm feeling relaxed today, sitting with my portfolio, which is, in itself growing happily, and I'm not really worried about where the money is going to come from next month. Thank you so much for your time, and we really appreciate your to the audience also to join on this Saturday morning and invest your time. Thank you so much, and wish you a very happy weekend. Take care. Bye bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.